poem about the highest form of love that there is, and that's self-love. Which is appropriate for festivals, isn't it?
Huh?
It's appropriate for festivals, isn't it? I think self-love. I'm just gonna get my beer.
We'll just stand here.
There's a reason, right? Which is, seeing as it's a kind of final poem, it's not just a celebration of it's not like self-love just isn't us, but for everyone in the audience as well. So this is a poem which is kind of about status, basically. So what I'm just suggesting is that if you've got a drink in the audience, basically, every single time that you hear us say the word status, take a drink, and we'll get fucked up. Let's do it. So,
this is raise your status. There are very many ways to impress your peers, so just chill for a second, we'll suggest ideas.
If you cycle with your hands held behind your back.
If you had your own handshake since you sat your sats.
If you walk with a limp because you file your own tax, then raise your status.
If you finish reading Ulysses.
A third time over.
If you rent a flat overseas.
In Moldova.
If you ferment your own blue cheese.
Gorgonzola.
That will raise your status.
If you control your electronics from a central hub.
If you always get packed when you're leaving the club.
If you loudly quote the bard, aye, there's the rub, then raise your status.
Drop your suspension.
Pop your collar, then holler, who's the greatest?
Yes. If you're studying for sustainable development doctrine.
If you're a junior partner in a multinational conglomerate.
If you can throw a tennis ball a really long way, then make sure everyone can hear you say,
raise your status, unpack your self-worth apparatus.
Manual labourers looking tough.
Status.
Spaniel trainers rocking crafts.
Status. Global campaigners locked up in cuffs. Status. Unpack your self-worth apparatus. If every lay is an Olympic gold and you want a lot of medals while you're not too old.
And the walk of shame is like a victory lap where you call your friends for a quick recap.
Or if you've slept with just one and that one is the one and the oneness of the one makes you feel like you won, then
raise your status. It's the reason we think our friends rate us.
Now tell me, if my punk band's on hiatus.
If my backhand's not the greatest.
If my rhyme scheme's a bit shit.
If my nose is not the straightest, why would anybody date us?
Hello, I'm Joe. I'm in between jobs.
Hello, I'm Ross. I like poetry.
Hi, I'm Chris. I teach writing in prisons.
Hello, I'm Joe. I'm a published novelist.
Boom! You hear that at the back?
That's the sound of my statue being uncovered. 1,000 thank yous. It's dedicated to my mother.
His modesty turns most men to dust.
In this godless world, it's in Joe we trust.
So raise your status.
Rev your Mercedes-Benz.
Sever your old friends.
Trevor, Paul, Daniel and Ben.
Fuck those guys.
I don't know you now.
With bass bins in the boot and tinnitus ringing in your ear.
If you're carrying a flick knife.
You're marrying a fit wife.
Then raise it up. Show your diplomas.
Let's see those traumas.
Who here discovered that the cells weren't dormant?
Who kissed an
Who
airbag?
lived through the gulag.
Who was on a skag, but that's behind him now.
Raise your status.
Like going to all those underground gigs where you get to see bands before they make you big.
Haven't you heard of All Back to Tim's? They're the greatest band in Pregnatech.
Haven't you heard of Erstwhile Limbs? They're the greatest band in Turtleneck.
Haven't you heard of Beneath the Soil Lies Miles of Fire and then a ball of stone and then a line of fire and then your mum? The greatest band in Meteor.
If there's a higher race of lizards and you hear their broadcasts.
If you're a level 60 wizard in the world of Warcraft.
You knew there'd be a blizzard despite the cloudless forecast.
Then raise your status, unpack your self-worth apparatus. If you were the kid who always got detention.
If you're ready for the switch to the fifth dimension.
If you call girls bitches and your boys your henchmen, then raise your status,
unpack your self-worth apparatus. Create a new charity. Anonymously.
Once you're dead, they'll rename it. Eponymously.
That'll raise your status.
If you've read the oeuvre of Alan de Botton, you'll know his predictions are surely spot on.
And even with bed sheets of pure Egyptian cotton, we're all still going to rot.
So raise up your status now. Just pause for a minute. That sound like distant applause. It's just a slow puncture leaking.
Let me tell you the cause. While you were raising your status, death was sharpening his claws.
All kingdoms turn to sand, like King Ozymandias. So please think of him when you're swirling your brandy glass.
So we're going to finish off with a little bit of hip-hop style call and response. You can tell we are pretty hip-hop. Look at Ross's trousers if you need evidence of that. So I'm going to say something and then you're going to shout, "You're still going to die." So let's just practice that. I say something.
You're still gonna die!
Excellent. That's good. Yes, your name's on the list.
You're still gonna die!
All the acclaimed novelists.
You're still gonna die!
You've been to bed with a model.
You're still gonna die!
On baking bread is a doddle.
You're still gonna
You
die!
got 6 bodyguards.
You're still gonna
You
die!
keep chickens in the yard.
You're still gonna die!
You can speak Japanese.
You're still gonna die!
You can name all the trees.
You're still gonna
You
die!
got a terminal disease.
You're still gonna die!
You've written a poem.
You're still gonna die!
Seen John Smith.
You're still gonna die!
Seen Polar Bear.
You're still gonna die!
Seen Scroobius Pip.
You're still gonna die!
Seen R16.
You're still gonna die!
You've been really, really nice.
You're still gonna die!
Go home now.
You're still gonna die!
Thanks very much a lot. Cheers. Bye.